And the reasons for that are complex. And it is about the equation that you rightly bring up, Inmendham, that in the initial stages of evolution, the game is always the same, okay? It is, you're born, you strive to procreate, and you die. That's it. And if you don't procreate, the game is over for you. Fine. With the advent of culture, that in some sense, and in a real sense, becomes far more complex and far more interesting. Because then you have to look into group selection, and I've talked about David Sloan Wilson on this quite a few times.
Oh, how will you quit with the name dropping? Damn it, it's not that complex, and I even brought the subject up, that you can look at seal populations, all right? I mean, one male seal, wins the lottery, okay, and the rest of them are out of luck. So 1 in 50 gets to have a real life with a mate and, having sex and all that stuff, and 50 go without. Okay, so their genetics is stifled, but in a way they're working for the same thing because they're related to that dominant male. That dominant male they share a genetic heritage with it and a genetic destiny with it, and so it's to their advantage. And the same thing happens in wolf packs and the rest. There's lots of tribes of animals, lots of group animals that function that way, because that's another selection process. They glean the best out of their group and allow the best to do the reproducing, but it's still another evolutionary advantage. It just has to do with the damn DNA molecule and what's to its advantage. And it doesn't. It's nothing more. It's a brutal competition, and it leaves a lot of things out. There's no symmetry or Mother Nature fucking psychology in any of that. It's brutal. It's goddamn brutal.
And Owen Flanagan is also a thinker I really like on this, because when it becomes more complex, when you introduce culture, you are changing the game. Now, ultimately, the score is kept by how many progeny go on from you to the next generation, unless you look at culture. And in culture, you can actually create continuation through culture. You can continue without progeny, and that's never happened in the history of human beings before. And
yeah, well, like I say, you don't really continue, okay? You sacrifice to a better genetic code, to a better genetic model by natural selection's standards, okay? You lose the competition within the group. Your genetics is now ended. Your relative, your better, ends up owning the future. And that's just a simple fact of the matter.
That is interesting, and I don't have time to discuss it in detail, but again, sidebar. Now, your next premise is human beings are bacteria with brains. Okay. And you also, as adjunct to that, you add the fact that human beings are machines. Okay? I'm going to just throw this out, and why human beings are not bacteria with brains. Okay? We have developed a cerebral cortex, and you call it like, you think of, I don't know how you phrase it, so I'm just going to phrase it my way. You see it as this like accretion that has come and made us smarter and really, really clever about winning at the initial game, which is solely procreation. Now, to me, it's this. Evolution, once it has intelligence, that is such an adaptive trait that evolution begins to select for intelligence.
Yeah, and that's not how it happened. We acquired our intelligence at least 70,000 years ago. Maybe as far back as 250,000 years ago. What is when we acquired this potential, this capacity. All right? Obviously, we didn't maximize it. Obviously, we weren't using it. All right? So the slight advantage we had over our competitors at the time, Cro-Magnon or whoever, the other primates, we were able, that slight increase that gave us the ability to make pointy sticks and clubs and rocks to throw at things and to find other ways to brutalize our environment, gave us an advantage. And all we needed was that slight advantage to essentially blanket the world. All right? But we blanketed the world, okay, not knowing what thunder was, not knowing what a bacterium was, not knowing anything about this planet in any real way. All right? We didn't do it with intelligence, okay? We did it with brutality, brute force, okay? A scheming mind, not an intellectual mind, because we had no knowledge base.
Why I think there is this explosion in the cerebral cortex at this point in our history.
Yeah, at this point in our history, it's old news. We're not getting smarter. Okay, grow up, grow a brain. Who's breeding now? Okay, since the invention of the condom, who breeds? Is it the best and the brightest? I don't think so. So any theory that we are advancing our intelligence genetically over the last at least few hundred years is just plain silly.
We needed it to survive, yes. So we developed it. Once it's there, it's not as if...
Well, we didn't develop it. That's really the wrong way to put it. Like I said, there's obviously an advantage to having a scheming intelligence, to having a capacity to reason around your environment. But as we have demonstrated, there's a danger here. Natural selection never had a chance to select for how we turn that, what we use that potential for. It gave us a potential. It had no idea it gave us a potential. All it cared was it was selecting for the small little incremental advancement in our intelligence. It had no idea it opened this fucking goddamn floodgate where we would become capable of contemplating the universe and contemplating our origins and pondering our existence here and being capable of analyzing it and judging it. All right? But that's what we're capable of. And we're also capable of making bombs and blowing the fucking planet to a cinder. And so we haven't succeeded yet because the trial isn't over yet. We haven't proved intelligence works. Okay? Because it might be a colossal goddamn failure because we won't be able to overcome the fucking bacteria origins. We won't be able to overcome the goddamn DNA that owns the mind of most of mankind.
Game becomes even more ruthless and complex. Necessarily it can, but it becomes more interesting and diverse, and you select, then nature can select for intelligence. Now if you're...
Yeah, well, that's not happening. Like I said, where's the evidence that that's where it's happening? Where's the breeding taking place? It's taking place in the people living the most dismal, the most ordered, the most controlled, the most dismal lives. That's the population breeding. All we're breeding is people capable of being slaves. We're breeding sheeple. We're not breeding the independent, free-thinking, creative, blah blah. That's not happening. The creative aren't breeding. Okay? The fucktards, the ones breaking their fucking backs, they're the ones breeding. They're the ones not using their brains are the ones breeding.
Progeny isn't going to be the progeny to survive. Because you have culture, you can foster the procreation and continuation of this trait, and you do, and it's like a drop in the ocean of evolution. But
yeah, like I said, our culture does not do any breeding selecting. It doesn't do any of that. We don't apply any rational standards to our genetics. So it's just idiotic to make the point that somehow our culture is creating a more sophisticated selection process for the human race. That's not how it works. How it works is 43-year-old women who want to be president of the United States are too fucktarded to know you don't have a goddamn baby when you're 43 fucking years old.